Alrighty, let's go. Another day, another model. We don't know anything about Claude 4.0 yet, apart from waking up and another model's changing the game. So learn. You're going to learn with us this time. Ken, take it away because he's the Claude user.
Let's go here. So the first article that one, I mean, obviously we get all most of our news from X, but one of the cool things is like having websites with ads, which is great. But
I just
so,
want to highlight before you go too far into this that I read this one. Read the headline and then read the
yes,
end thing, and it just goes, "May have broken the AI ceiling." And then it's like, four could be better than three. Like it goes from so
yeah,
sensationalist to just like, it might be better. It doesn't give any data for it or anything. It just goes, it might be better.
yeah. So what I've seen. So if we have a look at so it's Claude, well, yeah, Claude 4.0. So the key things that I've also noticed, XAI released this the other day, which is really handy. But I think they're all bringing in web search through their APIs, which
Mhm.
I think that's the unlock there, because then it's not just what the data's trained on at the time of the model. You actually get access to the whole internet, and then
Yep.
everyone's obviously going straight for the MCP connections. So MCP, for the people that don't know what that is basically an API, which is a way of talking to an application, but built for AI to understand. So you just give it like a description, and then you tell it what inputs it needs, and then you can. It's basic. It can then the AI can reach out to another tool to perform a task. So web search and stuff would probably be an internal kind of style tool like that. But with MCP, you can open up a website, and then you could chat to ChatGPT and say, could you please read or tell me what I have today? And it could go through an MCP server, check your calendar, and then return data, and then tell you in text what's going on, right? So funnily enough, like we're starting with Claude Opus here, but here's four. Let's go through the Anthropic actual article, which is probably the best. So 4.0, so they're bringing Opus 4 and Sonnet 4. So Opus is the biggest and most powerful model that they usually bring out. And yeah, new standards. So they got the world's best coding model, sustained performance in complex long-running tasks, and agent workflows. So agents are just basically can run tools in parallel, so they can work on multiple things and keep going through. So superior coding and reasoning, and responding more precisely to instructions. So in 3.7, which was the jump from 3.5 was like one of the best models that came out for coding. But then they brought out 3.7, which kind of people said it used to just go off and just say like, yeah, cool, thanks, champ. I'm just going to go and do something else over here and deliver the wrong results. So, I mean, we haven't really seen, I mean, this only got launched, what, today? So,
Oh, like yeah, it was like hours before I woke up and saw it. I
yeah, it's
jumped
just
onto
got
Twitter
launched.
first thing, and I think Theo was just starting live stream talking about it, so it must have been minutes before that because he's like on the second it comes out,
Yeah,
he's just talking
he's
about it.
classic. He gets alerted as soon as a new model comes out. So extended thinking, new capabilities. So given access to local files, demonstrates significantly improved memory capabilities, which is really good when you're working on like code, like long term. You want it to like remember the context of what you're actually working on. It's now generally available, which we can all use it, and it's got a new API. So we've got the code execution tool, MCP connector, files API, and the ability to cache prompts for up to an hour. So that's handy. So that helps reduce token usage. So it brings down the
Mhm.
cost of actually running this. And then this Opus 4 is $15 slash $75 per million tokens, and Sonnet 4 at 3 and 15. So this is very standard for them, but this is hectic. So $75 per hour. That's like, I'd be love to hear how everyone thinks that's going. So there's this software engineering. I think that's what that stands for. Benchmark. It's got 72.5%, and then terminal bench 43. So I mean that's climbing, but still, that's compared to. I mean most engineers probably wouldn't even get that. I probably wouldn't even get that high of a score anyway. So it excels at coding. So Claude's really always been a coding model, which is one of its strengths. And they usually people tune and fine tune the models depending on like the use case. Like, you know, so we just spoke about VO3 recently,
Mhm.
and that's for video. And then you have like your mid journeys who have their own models to do images. And then you're going to have these are more like the text based models, the LLMs, which now has been tuned on code. right? Just it just can be better at doing one thing, which makes heaps of sense. It's to have a model that does everything is quite, I think, quite hard, and then you end up with this like
Mhm.
bit of a mess. So obviously a cursor built gonna what's that gonna call for state of art coding and leap for complex code base understanding. Um, so improves is leading capability. So 72. They haven't really showed us what it's like. What comparative? Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is what we want. Accuracy, right? So they don't even show 3.5. So 3.5 was 62%, and now we're talking Sonnet 4 is 72.7 and 72.5. This is interesting because Opus, which costs way more money, is actually less accurate for software than Sonnet 4. So you can use the cheaper model
On the
to,
benchmarks.
yeah, which is
I would
pretty
say it's
insane.
probably those benchmark tests, maybe. Are they not considering reasoning and chain of thought and stuff? And maybe it's that's what Opus 4 does is like actually gets you real world better results, but on this benchmark, it's there, whatever.
Yeah, you can see it here. So graduate level reasoning, 79 versus 75. And then when you add, what's the second one? I think the second one. So look at the high school math. Almost, yeah. I mean, there's an improvement between the two for sure. But look at the jumps here, right? Do you know what's funny? Look at this. So Claude's like, yeah, we got the boys, but look at old mate Gemini and O3. O3 is a super expensive model, but look at this, 88%. So they're not that you can see they're not built for that. They're not good at high school maths. Use Gemini, or if you're in here, even like I mean, look at O3's 83% versus 75. Given that this is a
Oh,
super expensive model to run, you're probably going to be running this one. So there's a substantial jump. Um,
yeah. I
but it's
wonder
crazy.
what's the justification there for 3 or 4 times the price must be to them that it only has to get like 2% better output to have 4 times less prompts used, essentially. Like the time you spend correcting it for a software engineer is worth the extra money, even though it's only an incremental improvement. And does that mean that models are going to, the next time there's a 5% jump, go to $700 because they get it right a bit more?
I
It's
think
like it's
that's the
out of
thing.
step with the quality improvement.
I think the more accurate you can be, the better, right? Like realistically, in the end of the day, if you know a model is like like close to 100%, it's like 90%. You're going to pay the money because it's like it's at human level better
It's
than.
less time you need to correct it from a
Yeah,
human, which actually costs money. Yeah.
yeah. So you just like it nails it. I think that's where we're going to see. So Pokemon, let's see. Opus 4 outperforms all previous models. This is so funny. Like I
I
always
love
see
the
this.
Pokemon thing. How
It's
quickly can it play Pokemon?
yeah, it's so good. Like it's it's funny because people like the models are spending so much money to play a game that I completed when I was 7. Like
Yeah,
a 7 year
yeah,
old or 8 year old could play the game
yeah,
and do it. But it's very
yeah.
interesting. So it's actually so here try max 5 and just like it's insane. Like to be honest, like it's looking at so the way these things work is they analyze every image as it goes and sees what's happening.
And
You know,
say
like
what
okay,
is
figure out
what's the result of that image? I'll be
it's yeah.
that's the game over for me once it completes and starts speed running a game like Pokemon. There's a lot of variability. That's when you're like really solving actual real world problems quite consistently if you can
It's
just
crazy.
do that.
It's crazy, yeah. So, Claude Code. So that's their. What's this now? Is this where's Claude Code? Is in your IDE. Oh, you can integrate it straight into your IDE. That's pretty insane. This is see. This is. I think this is where it gets scary for people like Cursor and stuff. It's you're gonna have these guys come at you. Like you're a wrapper on top of them, and they go, "You, there's a massive market here. Let me just build that plugin on top of VS Code, and away you go."
Every
And
IDE has the same things. Yeah.
yeah, and you also this week in similar, like we're talking software engineering and AI, but Google just, sorry, Microsoft just open sourced VS Code as well as Copilot. So for
Mm.
VS Code, so it's like they basically went, you know, Cursor, you know that thing you just bought off Windsurf was OpenAI 3 billion, I think it was. It's like you know what, that thing's worthless. Like
Mm.
we just make that free for everyone. Good night, sweet prince. VS Code was open source. I think it was just it was actually. just the what's it called, Copilot that they've open sourced as well,
Copilot, yeah.
which is
It's
insane.
interesting too because doesn't Microsoft own like half of OpenAI?
Yeah, that's what the funny story is. Like they own OpenAI, then OpenAI bought the thing, which was a fork of VS Code, which they also own. It's just this
Yeah,
frigging
I
merge.
guess for Microsoft, it's like the enterprise value. Keeping all engineers in VS Code is worth more than the uplift of OpenAI in the short term because OpenAI can go to the consumer market while Microsoft wants to be the developer market.
Mm,
So they'll probably just get everything
yeah.
synergized, like Teams. They don't really care. Just
So
launch it.
very very interesting. Like this is another big day, but yeah, I think XAI web search API, they released that just like live search was just the other day, 22 hours ago. Yeah.
You
So
know
this
what I
is
found was really, really good for Grok?
yeah,
I wanted to research something, but I specifically wanted people's Twitter opinions. Holy, it's so good for that. I just went like, Grok, give me the spiciest takes on whatever, and it was like, here's all these people talking. Oh, that was so good. All the models have to exist in their own, like where the data is, I reckon.
100%. Like I think that's the power. And this is where X has like it is the latest data. Like as soon
Hmm.
as it comes out. Now, this is they're releasing this to their API, which is makes it super powerful. This is a very expensive model to run, though. It's very expensive, but it's you can now search there, and then also like so it's going to search tweets or whatever they're called now. I don't even know what they're called.
Hmm.
People don't even mention what they are. But yeah, so it has the live search. You can literally search
Send me a
like Zeets, I think some I've heard called before, just
fuck.
retarded. Um, so anyway, it's very cool. I think this is like where these things are getting unlocks is when they can search and like imagine like when YouTube brings out Gemini or something on top of the whole YouTube, where it's like
Yeah.
you can search for certain videos and like tell me a summary of like this thing and then give you the sources and you can go and watch those videos again. I think that's like
The way it does at the moment, references in Google searches is really good. So it has
yeah,
the transcripts of every video on the planet. If I'm working on a car and I ask a question, it's like this YouTube video says blah blah blah, did it, and it's a transcript, and then you can check source and it takes you straight into that. That's super cool. So
yeah,
they're already like sort of taking advantage of that on the Google side. And
yeah.
yet YouTube search is still the worst thing on the planet. Come
Yeah,
on,
for
come
now.
on, sort
For
it out.
now. They got
Sort
a
it
bit
out.
on their plate, mate. They got a few models to release. They got a few things going on, It's got a
Yeah,
bit much, I just
couple of
love the
businesses.
I love that people just wrote them off. It's like you reckon those guys are gonna fail, like or just sit on there.
Mm. Or at
Even
least not be comparable to the top of the market. Like that was never going to happen.
even I think Apple's getting burnt pretty hard at the moment, but I reckon like they've also got that, because they're all about safety and protection of your data, which I think is really important.
Hmm.
And especially on your device, like you don't really want your device to be calling home all the time with everything you're doing. So
Yeah,
I think
I think the only thing Apple did really, really wrong was to
announce,
react to the market and
yes,
announce it because they
yeah,
wouldn't have wanted to. And then at the Tim Cook level, the investor level, they would have been like, we have to say we're doing this or we will lose market share. And then they would have, okay, let's do it. Let's roll it. It's not ready yet. Oh, shit. Like, if you
I
didn't have to cave to investor pressure, you wouldn't have announced it until it was coming out the next day. Like,
yeah, I reckon it's very interesting that they either haven't acquired one of these, and it's probably a reason because they don't know who's going to win the race. But I think they're pairing with I think it's Anthropic to do their Xcode kind of tooling, like to bring in cursor style experience to Xcode, which no one
oh,
can
yeah.
do. So that will be interesting. But I think for me, a good strategic play would either be to buy them, like an Anthropic, or
Yeah, that
if
would
you
be
don't believe
huge
that
news.
you can't be the leader and you want to be able to swap out, it's just like leverage those tools and become a wrapper and just figure out a way you can get full data silo
Yeah.
and that doesn't train the rest of the models and all that kind of stuff. But they at that size they can like how much cash they have? It's like close. Was it they're $1 trillion company at one
Mm,
stage?
Like that was probably 5 years ago. I remember reading that they had just under $1 trillion in cash that they wouldn't bring into America unless America gave them like a tax-free haven day to bring the money in.
Yeah, there
Four
we go.
trillion.
They're only worth
Oh, that's the
4.7
market cap though.
trillion.
What's their cash on hand?
Yeah,
That's
but
the
bro, that's the market cap, and then company
yeah.
cash balance 29.94 billion cash. Cash.
And
This
they
is what
wouldn't
I'm
use
saying.
cash.
Like
They'd be
people
like,
write it.
here's 10 billion plus stock options. Here you go.
You
Oh
can't
my
write
lord.
someone like that off. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't say
Yeah.
they're not going to come back. It's not like they could buy whoever is doing the next thing.
They could buy the 50 next up and coming companies with change with their cash on hand.
It's the thing.
That's
I
one
think
way
they're
to win a
waiting and they're
race.
being quite strategic, and we just don't know because like they've always been secret about everything they do.
Hmm.
Look, I have like they've done a good job, and yeah, people say things are falling apart and all this, but like that can happen and they can come back. Like $29 billion. There's a
Yeah,
29,000 million. Like,
it's a
they've
lot
got
of
money.
money.
Yeah, cool. So anyway, very exciting. New models every day. That we just it's intense. But yeah, like hopefully we can leverage them and actually get something. I almost feeling.
Can you get that in Cursor now or VS Code now? Is it like
Um,
available or you have to like do stuff? I was gonna
no,
say you should try and run it against something you did yesterday and see if the output's different.
yeah, Sonnet
What do you
4.
reckon?
There he is.
Nice.
It's
Wait,
already.
Sonnet's the cheap one though, right?
Yeah,
Not the
yeah, yeah.
superpower one.
They don't usually bring the big boys into here. It's
Spinner
always the
models, yeah.
minis and stuff. You wouldn't want to spend because this. I think Copilot gives it to you for free for like $10. Like you pay $10 and you get all those models, and I can now have access to it. So I'll
Yeah.
give it a spin. I don't. One thing to call out though, I've noticed a few articles of people saying like how programs are starting to say that they're becoming dumber because they're handing everything off to the computer. And
Hmm.
it's one thing that I noticed, like I was waiting for things to complete. So I actually turned off code completion completely. So maybe I'm not being coding as fast, but I use my brain a bit more. And then whenever I get stuck, I then ask the AI, which is interesting. So why
Mm.
I need
It's
to
very
actually,
tempting to shortcut things. All the things I remember from code. So I've done a lot of those like little mini sprints where I'll try and create something with cursor and I get results because it's helping me. I don't remember a single thing from that, but I remember heaps from when I learned to code like with you and Jark back in the day, where I was
yeah,
actually typing stuff out. I remember all of my React stuff from that, all of the passing prop, all of those things from that, and I don't remember a single thing of the stuff that I did AI generated most of it.
no. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. Because like if the models get better and you become better at just describing things, it's like it becomes a different skill set. And maybe you don't
That's
need
when it
to.
becomes the abstraction layer of you never touch code or see code ever again.
Mm,
Yeah.
which is interesting. And like, man, it might happen. It might happen. But until then, there's a time delay. And
Yeah,
I've
until it
found,
can play Pokemon, I'm not having it build my platform.
yeah, I mean, I try my best. Like yesterday, I spent 3 hours chatting to it and trying to get it to help me, and it just couldn't do it. So
Yeah.
maybe Claude Sonnet 4 can. We'll see. Maybe it can. And maybe I need to give more
Fingers
context. Maybe I need to
crossed.
spend more time. But I would think what I think's still funny about all these models is I just want you to look at my code base like a normal person would and then do it. Why do I need to write you rules? Like you can see the rules, they're there. Like
Hmm.
just copy
Oh
that.
yeah, like always use these components to do this and blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
I
And
don't
then
want
it
to
just
tell you
goes like,
that.
here's a new thing, install a new
That's
package,
what
mate.
you tell a junior. Like a senior, you don't
Yeah,
go in here. Like if I was a new to this code base, I wouldn't go like, oh yeah, I'm just going to invent a new component for this. I would
yeah,
go in here, learn about this component, and then implement it. That's what I would do.
yeah.
So that's where like that. I mean, that's when that comes. That's going to be pretty cool. Um, but yeah, it's very interesting. All right. Well,
I
Claude
did
Sonnet.
find it interesting that that article says like breaking through the AI wall, like breaking through the wall that we thought was impossible, but then we just looked at it and it's definitely still well under that like curve because it's a 1% improvement. So they're just compute powering up that line.
Yeah,
It's definitely hasn't broken through any, like it would have to get, I think at this stage it would probably have to get to like 95% in all categories to be like above the line that we thought was impossible to cross.
yeah.
So
I mean,
that'd be
it's
very
probably going
cool.
to come. Just more electricity. Things cost. It's just energy, and then we're going to figure out how to make cheaper energy or energy for
Boys,
free.
AI should help us with that and then we'll set it free. You give us fusion reactors, we give you eternal freedom.
All right. Well, you
And we
can come
stop
catch
prompting
me.
you into deadly situations.
You can come and catch me on me farm. All right.
With your strawberries, your AI generated strawberries.
No, that'll be real. I'll eat them.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty.
Catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.